Hello and welcome back to World 360. Last December, posters of Chinese President Xi Jinping emerged during local council elections in Australia, specifically the coastal city of Wollongong. The posters were seemingly used as a dig at the opposition party in Australia known as the Labour Party. These posters were placed beside campaign posters of left-leaning candidates like Wollongong councillor Anne Martin. While one might assume that the message attempting to be communicated was that a vote for Labour equaled a vote for the Chinese Communist Party, something strange was discovered. According to an ABC report, the same posters were put up across the whole of Wollongong and in different colours, targeting all the major parties. It raised questions as to who was behind the posters specifically and even created rumors of foreign interference in the elections. It's not unusual for campaign posters of Xi Jinping or the Chinese Communist Party to crop up during election season in Australia. The upcoming federal elections, slated for 21st May, are no exception. Last month, trucks with advertisements showing the Chinese president voting for Labour were spotted across the country. Technically, such ads are permissible as Australian law has no rules on truth or accuracy in political advertising. A conservative lobby group, Advance Australia, took credit for these ads. In a statement, the lobby group also accused Labour politicians of catering to the Chinese Communist Party, even referring to Daniel Andrews, Labour Premier of Victoria, as a dictator and referring to Labour Premier of Western Australia, Mark McGowan, as Mao Gowan. The anti-China rhetoric in Australia has clearly escalated in the run-up to the federal elections. Anthony Albanese, the leader of the opposition who is up against incumbent PM Scott Morrison, has faced the brunt of this, especially after Chinese state-run media outlet Global Times published a piece saying that in comparison to Morrison, he positively shines. It led many to believe that China is banking on a win for Albanese for its own interests. But there aren't only posters targeting Labour Party candidates. Liberal candidate Gladys Liu, who is a member of the Australian House of Representatives representing the division of Chisholm in Victoria, has also been accused of batting for the Chinese Communist Party. A young Hong Konger Australian, Max Mock, plastered ads of Gladys Liu alongside Xi Jinping. Proudly showcasing the trucks, he implored voters to put Gladys last due to her alleged links to the Chinese Communist Party. It's clear that China has become a hot topic in the run-up to the election and is being used as a tool for dirty tricks in politics. Some have argued that the anti-China rhetoric from PM Scott Morrison and his government, however, is not the right strategy in terms of diplomacy. Last week, former Australian PM Kevin Rudd called the current Defence Minister Peter Dutton an idiot for believing that hairy-chested or macho commentary about China would improve Australia's strategic circumstances. Often an assumption on the part of certain politicians like the idiot Dutton that the more you shout and the more hair you stitch onto your chest, somehow the better your overall strategic circumstances with China and the United States might be. That's just declaratory bullshit and it's directed at an Australian domestic political audience, he had said. For example, he has said that should there be a future war between the US and China over Taiwan, it would be inconceivable that Australia would not join the US. Now, the topic of Xi Jinping has also come up several times during election debates between Morrison and Albanese. A recent CNN report points out that Albanese appeared to align with the Morrison government's hardline stance during a debate when he said Xi has changed the nature of the Chinese Communist Party. It's more forward-leaning. It's more aggressive. That means that Australia, of course, must respond. Before we conclude, you're probably wondering who is likely to win the upcoming Australian elections. Well, according to the polls, Labour appears to have a narrow lead, but it is too close to call. If Labour does manage to win, it would be a first in about 15 years. Thank you so much for watching. This is Pia Krishnankutty for The Print. Do subscribe to ThePrint.in and follow us on social media.